starting the recording again, and we're in the general discussion period, but this was not on the schedule. If you have to go, feel free, don't be shy. I'll stick around for 15 minutes and moderate, make sure things stay clean. If anyone wants to go back to some of the earlier talks or have some crosstalk questions. Max, you have any questions, comments? I'll just start picking on my former students. Armel, what was your favorite part of the discussions today? Alex, you're not my student, but you must have something to ask or say. Something intriguing. He's ignoring me.
No, I'm not ignoring you. I was just hemming and hawing to myself.
Okay. All right, if not, we could.
So I did want to ask if Hilton had an experiment design or something. Like, did you run an experiment? Like we didn't get to see the end of your talk, so maybe.
Okay.
Could you just like tell us very briefly if you've run an experiment, what you found, or if you've designed an experiment, what it is?
Well, yeah, I haven't. I can run an experiment. I don't have access to an fMRI machine, unfortunately. But yeah, I had some ideas for that.
We will have two of them very shortly. So,
oh, really?
So come see us but I'm not sure you really want fMRI, but like, you know.
Okay. Okay. Well, the reason why I actually was looking at those experiment by the Federici group is because they were actually using just nonsensical syllables. Okay, so no meaning. Okay, so the no words are not even pretend to be false words. So you know there are other experiments in which you know it's also that they also use toy languages, but the elements, the vocabulary, they actually look like words. Okay, so these are just like CV syllables. So it's my conjecture is that even though they use them as if they were words for a sentence, for syntactic structure, my intuition is that the participants may see that just as syllables of a word. Okay, so so it could actually work for phonology, okay, as well as, or even probably better than for syntax. I don't. That is just my conjecture. So the thing that I would like to do is that they use since they were using for the phrase structure grammar, they were using the ANDN type of strings. With that kind of dependency, that it actually is not, it doesn't look like something that happens in real phonology, you know, that type of dependence. So but what I would like to see would be to do an experiment like that with syllables, but not pretending them to be sentences, but just words, and just see if the word is well formed or not. Okay? So it will be explicitly phonological. And the language you know that will be experimented on will mimic some of the phonological rules that we see in natural languages. Okay, so but still using you know one finite state and one context, or what could be solved by context-free grammar. But that would be probably a little bit difficult. But I guess that you know the examples of those languages could be, if those toy languages could be constructed and then tested on, and see whether there's actually activation of the hierarchy, you know, the network, not just Broca, but you know Broca with the PSTG region, you know, that arcuate, fasciculus arcuate, which seems to be related to processing hierarchical structures instead of just the operculum, you know, with the flat structures. So I don't, you know, I have like the draft for an experiment, but I haven't had, you know, chance to get to the equipment But thank you for the question.
Okay, Tobias?
Well, um, something I kind of knew, but which has become much more accurate while listening to the talks, is that, of course, when people try to compare syntax and morphology on the one hand to phonology on the other hand, this is what we all want to do. We try to go through mathematics to have a mathematical definition of what people in syntax call recursion, and much of the PRH debate was in that. And then see whether we get the same, we can apply whatever the mathematical characterization of what occurs in syntax is, to see whether we have similar cases in phonology. And what I learned is that it is hard to go through math. So maybe math stands in our way, right? And we should directly compare phenomena in morphology and syntax on the one hand, and phonology on the other, and see whether they have similar or same properties. So Hilton said at some point that some people believe that there are syllable nodes under syllable nodes, so they're embedded syllables, and others believe they are not. I don't know. I thought of that, and I don't think I know any phonologist who believes that there are embedded syllable nodes. I do know phonologists who believe that there are embedded prosodic word nodes, for sure, but not syllable, or onset or nuclei, what have you. So, so one thing that I came up with regarding that is that in syntax you have always correlates of when you embed. Let's talk about embedding, not of recursion. So let's talk about the output, not about the algorithm, although the output is a product of an algorithm, of course, but let's talk about the output for a moment. So if you embed in syntax that has consequences on, you can measure that independently of what you did. So it has a price, it has a cost. So in semantics and in lexical items in many languages, so there are complementizers you will use. And in phonology, when people embed prosodic words, it's for free. It's just a matter of the take of the analyst. It's just the analyst. There is no consequence. You use play money. It's just your analysis that has embedded prosodic words, and there can be a different analysis that doesn't embed prosodic words and has, I don't know how many other prosodic categories or whatever. So what I want to say is that we don't have in phonology the correlates that we have in morphosyntax.
Okay, I think so. You're asking for a clarification from Hilton, I think. What do you think? You have something to respond to that, Hilton?
Well, yeah. These are interesting ideas, and I agree that we all like to compare phonology and syntax, and we go through mathematics, and sometimes something is lost in translation. But when I was talking about the syllable within syllables, I was actually referring to van der Hulst. He has a model of a recursive prosodic structures, in which, well, it's interesting because what he basically claims is that our notions of syllables, feet, prosodic words are just convenient labels, but are not really distinct categories. So the a syllable is just the projection of a vowel.
It's like bare structure and syntax. Is that the idea?
Huh?
It's like bare. Is it like bare phrase structure?
It's like bare phrase syntax, exactly, but applies to phonology. So even prosodic words would be projections, maximum projections of, or actually adjunctions, okay, of vowels. Or projections of maximum projection of vowels. So that is an interesting proposal. Okay, it has some problems, of course, but it's an interesting proposal. So and so that would be recursive in nature. And I think that there was something else that that you mentioned, and I was trying to to keep it in mind, but I forgot. But yeah, but I don't know if you have any other specific question or comment. Tobias, I don't know. Okay.
Anybody else?
Well, Eric has put a Harris thing in the chat saying that Harris 83, James Harris, I suppose.
Yeah, James Harris's analysis of Spanish syllable structure has, I think, yeah, just one level of embedding. So 3 onset segments in an onset node, or 3 nucleus segments in a nucleus node. That's what it is.
But is that embedding? Does he have 3 levels of 3 onsets embedded into one another?
So 2 onsets together, and then another onset, the other segment. Oh, sorry, it's not onsets, it's nuclei. In Spanish, there's only 2 segment onsets. So it's 3 segment nuclei. So in a word like buey, which means ox, you have this
in triphthongs, like that. Yeah, it's interesting because he was he's representing that as a triple nucleus, but it's there are probably other possibilities, like that's the second glide could be probably part of the coda.
the coda or
Sometimes
something.
sometimes it,
This was just a response to Tobias saying I don't know any phonologists who believe in embedding of these things, and there's
No, thank you. I wasn't aware.
The other one was the original analysis of unbounded feet as just a layered structure to this that then Hammond argued against. So like, there again, to your point, like that part of it is in the analyst. So you have this, let's say that unbounded feet exist. I mean, I know that that's controversial even of itself, but like then you've got this thing which has a whole bunch of syllables in it in the foot. Like, do you do that by a flat structure, or do you have just a binary structure that's contains, and how do you tell the difference? So I think the move away from that representation, and the sort of codification of metrical patterns as like right strong if branching, that move away from that was not on empirical grounds. It was because people didn't like it. They just didn't like all the extra structure. But
actually, one of the criteria that Van der Boost used in his proposal is that the actually like the stress, prosodic stress, is actually a reflex of the head vowel. So that whatever is the nucleus of that phonologic or prosodic structure, that vowel gets the primary stress. So he analyzes unbounded feet as just a Chomsky recursion of, Chomsky adjunction. Yeah, but it's actually, there may be limits to that, but limits, do not imply that there's no recursion. It could be external, external conditions of the particular language, or I don't know, or of the memory system.
What he says is that any onset nucleus syllable, whatever constituent we are familiar with, are misconceptions, right? It's all just projections of nuclei. Right?
Yeah, that would be exactly, I guess.
Yeah. So he doesn't have a syllable node. I mean, something that is meaningfully a syllable node under a syllable node.
Actually, he has he treats the syllable as a maximum projection of a vowel, and then the creation of a feed will be an adjunction of the maximum projection of vowel. Those two adjunction create another level, and that is what I guess he claims that we conveniently call feet. But still, the question is, are they actually just labels, or are they just real categories? That's a legitimate question. Yeah.
But call them alpha, beta, and gamma would be the same thing.
Okay. Anything? Does anybody remember Kyle's talk? Any comments on something Kyle talked about? He answered all our questions.
I had Kyle mentioned at some point. I'm sorry, I didn't raise my hand.
It's
But,
okay.
okay.
No, don't worry.
Yeah.
Don't worry.
About why is it called numeration instead of set? And I was thinking that probably because, well, formally sets can only contain one instance of each element, but in numeration you can have more than one instance of the same lexical item, and so that technically would not be a set, I guess. So I just wondering.
Yeah, fair point. I just don't know this object called numeration that might as well be called a foobar to me.
Right.
But I agree your point that the thing that is called enumeration can't be a set, right?
Right. It's numeration is a weird thing because it's not an array because there's no intrinsic order. So it's like a set in that, but at the same time it's not a set because it may contain more than one instance of the same element. So I guess that's why I had to create the concept.
Well, there's a perfectly good mathematical concept. It's called a bag or a multiset, but
It's a bag or a that's right. You're right. You're absolutely right. It probably is not as catchy, but yeah, but it does the job.
I had a question for Kyle, but it's kind of unfair. But I just want
Oh, we
to
love- that's our
know.
favorite kind.
I want to know what you think. So you said long distance phenology is sort of this manifestation of move, right?
Yeah, I hope someone disagrees with me, but I thought it was kind of an interesting thought.
Okay, so then the question is why isn't there long distance metathesis, which seems to be the most obvious version of move?
Well, is there not? Is that not what long distance sibilant is? Long distance sibilant harmony, not like not a bit like move. I mean, there are analyses of things like aspirates that kind of look like that, right? In Sanskrit, there's a back and forth that went on for years in like early LI about Sanskrit, and like because you have words that etymologically should have two aspirates. They never surface as that, but where the aspirate is can go from place to place. And maybe there's cases where both the lower and higher copy are pronounced. Why not? Just like dialects of German. I don't know. I think we should go crazy. I think we should absolutely explore that metaphor. And I think people already have, right? I don't need to explore that metaphor because Eric Ramey has to some degree, I would argue. And the Search crew has explored that metaphor also. I think successfully, as far as I can tell. It seems to work. Obviously, there's other interesting theoretical formal elements in which it's not like move. The notion of hierarchy is not the same here, clearly. There's no C command or anything like that.
Okay, so should we thank our speakers, Jane and Hilton and Kyle, and I think next year we'll try to get back in the cycle and have a real NAPh, and we're expecting Hilton's results by then, right? Whatever machine it is that you need, hopefully you can get access to it, and hope to see people in Montreal next year. That'll be nice. And thanks for being here. And I'll post the recordings and the slides. If you could, all three of you, send me your slides if you're willing to share them.
Okay, sure.
Great. Thank you very much.